Welcome back to We on Wild is One, and thank you for staying with us. I'm Eric Njoka. The headlines. Israel tells the United Nations no fuel, gas will be allowed to enter Gaza unless for specific needs related to humanitarian infrastructure. It says only 308 trucks, half the agreed number, will be allowed to enter Gaza from Wednesday. Hamas informs mediators it will begin transferring the bodies of 4 deceased hostages to Israel at 1900 hours GMT. French Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu calls on lawmakers not to vote to topple his government in Parliament later this week, as the country is in the midst of its worst political crisis in decades. Says the government needs to restore trust in politics. The BJP releases its first list of 71 candidates for next month's Bihar Assembly elections, fields 2 deputy chief ministers. Speaker Nand Kishore Yadav's name is missing from the list. An elite military unit says it has taken power in Madagascar. This comes after the National Assembly voted to impeach President Andry Rajoelina for desertion of duty. At least 19 people dead after private bus caught fire in western Indian state of Rajasthan's Jaisalmer. The deceased will be identified after DNA sampling. Indian government's anti-pollution panel enforces season's first curbs under GRAP 1 in Delhi in the national capital region. This as air quality dips to poor category. Scientists uncovered a set of dinosaur footprints stretching more than 200 meters in a British quarry during a summer excavation. Google's parent company Alphabet will invest $15 billion to build an AI data hub in southern India's Andhra Pradesh state. The facility will be set up in the port city of Visakhapatnam.
Shalom, giving all praises and glory to our power Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shah, Bahasham Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the 4 corners of the earth, wherever you may be, wherever you may be. To you I say Shalom, Yahshua, Shalom. I will be brief as possible, and this is short anyways. Just an interesting little article that popped up here. As I was searching, just randomly searching for things, and this came up. So it says Walmart has announced that they are replacing self-checkout machines with something better. Now, we already know that Walmart replaced the regular cash registers with self-checkout counters. I spoke once, when this was first going on, one particular Walmart, where I remember they were doing the remodeling. And when they pretty much fully opened back up, well, they then shut down. They kind of did it, in portions. But if I'm correct, every, person checkout counter is now gone. And it's just self-checkout. You have the people that, assistants, whatever that position is called, the people that stand around and wait, they basically do nothing but sit on their cell phones unless somebody needs assistance. But yeah, so there's just people standing against the wall and everything is self-checkout. So now they're saying this article here. Now, I'm not saying this is in effect. I just thought it was very interesting. It says Walmart has announced that they are replacing self-checkout machines with something better. Have you ever gone shopping and get in line to check out, only to find a machine instead of a human being? When you're the one responsible for scanning all your items and swiping your credit card, things go a bit faster and makes life a little bit easier. Yep. And I mean, that's the truth. I'm not saying they're lying there. Now, I do still go to the people counters when, because sometimes these people are going self checkout and they don't know what the hell they're doing. It really pissed me off. One lady really pissed me off when I was at a Food Line earlier this evening, and she was sitting there. She was already moving slow. Then she was on the phone talking. So like if you're going to be in the self checkout line, be mindful that there are other people that want to check out. All right, this is self checkout to make it convenient and faster. But you come into the self checkout line and hold things up. But of course, there's not just one count. I'm just saying though, one lady, I mean, it is what it is. She could have just went to a regular counter, but whatever. You just got people like that, right? So checkout is meant to be more quicker. It's more convenient. Okay. Um. It says when you're the one responsible for scanning all your items and swiping your credit card, things go a bit faster and makes life a little bit easier, especially when you're just picking up a few items. See, however, not everyone likes the responsibility of scanning all their items and checking themselves out. Plus lines can still plus lines can still build up with these. So check out, you see, real account. That's funny. See, I was just telling the account it happened probably a couple hours ago. And see, it's right here in this article. All right, but they're not gonna catch me with the words. You're not gonna catch me with your words. All right, so I'm getting to a point. That's funny. I didn't expect that to be there. Walmart had a solution for a way to still make customers able to check themselves out, but eliminate lines altogether. Not too long ago, several stores began to implement their scan and go technology. I might click on that. I'm not now because I don't want to get taken away and not be able to find this article. So if I remember, I'll go back. I want it to be short, but I'm going to go back. It says in which customers are able to scan items as they walk through the store and then pay on their phones when they're finished. Does that sound familiar to something that brothers have posted before in videos where people are going to the store, pick up the items in the cart, just walk right out the store? Okay. So what do you think something like this would lead up to? See, all these little, that's why we keep mentioning the cogwheels, right? All these little cogwheels, these little tiny cogwheels, they wedge right in between the medium-sized cogwheels and the super-sized cogwheels. But they're very important because they connect the two and keep everything turning, right? So if you don't know what I'm referring to, I know I'm pretty much preaching to the choir with this one. This is the type of stuff that they want, with the MOTB, man. Okay, you just walk into your store, shop for what you want. All right. Now, this is talking about one thing. We're going to read this again. But ultimately, they want people to be able to walk into the store, shop for what they want, leave right out, and everything was scanned and taken off your account automatically. Why? Because they had a chip implanted under their skin. That's what stuff like this leads to. That's why this is important. Because this really is not like important information, but when you're talking about what it leads up to, that's what we're looking for. The ultimate prophecy of the MOTB. It says in which customers are able to scan and go technology, in which customers are able to scan items as they walk through the store and then pay on their phones when they're finished. When they then they walk through a mobile express lane will okay. Then they walk through a mobile express lane will at the okay. That's probably gotta be a typo. Then they walk through a mobile express lane at the front of Walmart stores for security purposes. Right? So they want to make even self checkout more convenient. And like I said, I'm not saying they're implementing this. This is simply an article. But should Walmart do this, that would be very interesting to see. All right, because we know, like brothers keep mentioning, gradualism. Okay, they're desensitizing you to certain things. Okay, so when it comes, it's not such of a shock. Okay, a culture shock or whatever. I don't know, societal shock, whatever you want to, how to term it. It's not such a shock. You were already, weaned into it, and then you're going to be weaned off of it when it actually comes. Yeah, there's more. I actually thought this was short. Okay, fool me. So wait a minute. Okay, so I didn't see this the first time. So it says the idea behind using this type of technology was noble. This is the same stuff. It just dropped. Okay, so yeah, cool. So okay. So this is short. So it says that consumers today want a speedy, easy shopping experience and an easy way to get in and out of get in and get out of the store without any fuss or muss. Sounds like a win-win for all. Walmart cuts cost for all. Okay, it sounds like a win-win for all. Walmart cuts cost. We slash all the long lines, and everyone gets to have a seamless shopping experience, right? We're always looking for new ways to help our customers save time, and these innovations are just the latest examples of how we continue to invest in our stores and bring greater convenience to customers, said Ray Korsh, a Walmart market manager, in a statement. So not necessarily, it seems that replacing cashiers with this type of new technology didn't go over with customers well. It actually may have done them a disservice and added a fuel to the fire for Walmart's reputation for already not having the best customer service. Walmart has been super low on its list for customer satisfaction, but now they're sinking even lower, and it might be due to the self-use machines. The American customer satisfaction, sooner or later they ain't even gonna need the people. Okay, the Customer Satisfaction Index (ACSI) score, which measures how good or bad the products and service. I don't care about all this. You can't convince customers to do the job of a cashier just because you don't want to pay for the work, especially when eliminating cashiers doesn't result in more convenient shopping. What else is here? I don't remember this article been this long before. I thought it was super short. I'm just trying to pick out stuff that's here. It might be it though. Oh, there's a video. For more on why Walmart is giving up on this technology. Okay, so they said it's giving up on it. What do you think of having machines instead of cashiers? Did you ever shop in Walmart when they implemented this type of technology? How do you feel about them going back to cashiers? In general, what are your thoughts on it? Ain't going back to them cashiers because it doesn't fit with the digital age, all right? It doesn't fit with the digital age. They're not going back to regular cashiers. Because do you know how much money that was wasted to actually remodel everything to self-checkout? Okay, because I believe there's more counters now. There's more self-checkout counters than it was like regular cashiers. Okay, and then it took time, it took money, and they're not going to reverse that and go put regular, because you have to rearrange the whole store again, because self-checkout counters are made a certain way. All right, regular cashier counters are made a different way, so you have to go right back in there. Okay, shut down half of your store, or at least the checkout side, so you can take those self-checkouts out, put regular counters back in, then open that side back up, shut the other side down, or really, because some Walmarts are bigger than others, so you might have to shut down the left side, then do the middle, then do the right end, and so they're not going to go back. We know they're not going to go back because it doesn't fit with the new age, man. All right, the digital age, okay? But that's why I thought this article was very interesting, with what it mentions here. There's some other news that I want to talk about, but not this time. I'm probably going to save this, and which is it's not nothing new, but we just gotta we'll keep talking about these different things here. One clip here, which probably was before this, the Trump with the Insurrection Act, and I've been looking back and forth into the situation about Trump's threats about the Tomahawk missiles and stuff like that. So we'll probably get into those things tomorrow, Lord willing. But for now, I just want to end it here. So I'm going to say Shalom. Enjoy the rest of the news.
Let's now take a look at what is making headlines in India at this hour. At least 19 people died after a private bus caught fire in Rajasthan's Jaisalmer. The injured have been shifted to a nearby hospital where they are currently receiving treatment. A total of 52 people were in the bus at the time of the incident. The cause of the incident remains unknown, but the initial reports suggest possibility of a short circuit or engine overheating. Senior Maoist leader Malojula Venugopal Rao has surrendered to authorities in Indian state of Maharashtra, along with around 60 cadres. West Bengal police recreated the crime scene in Durgapur today as part of the investigation. The accused arrested in connection with the gang rape of a medical student was taken to the crime spot and asked to reenact their respective roles when the alleged crime took place last week. A second-year medical college student was allegedly gang raped by a group of men last week when she went outside the campus with a friend to have dinner. 5 people have been arrested so far.
NBC5 investigates President Trump's next threatened move on Metro Chicago, and that is possibly invoking the Insurrection Act, which would claim a rebellion against the government is underway here and allow for a stronger military deployment.
Our investigative reporter Chuck Gowdy on the story for us. He joins us now with what that would look like. Chuck.
Allison, there's a gathering storm over Chicago and the suburbs, even as Illinois State Police and regular federal law enforcement agents have been able to stand up to fairly small and only sometimes violent crowds. But the gathering storm of a wider military deployment to Chicago with full arrest power is being considered by the White House and talked up publicly by the vice president, especially since Trump Justice Department attorneys lost several legal cases here in the past week. Small skirmish lines last weekend handled by Illinois State Police in front of the Broadview facility. Even without the help of National Guard troopers sent in by the president, soldiers last week were ordered by the courts here to disengage, orders being appealed by the White House.
The problem here is not the Insurrection Act or whether we actually invoke it or not. The problem is the fact that the entire media in this country, cheered on by a few far-left lunatics, have made it okay to tee off on American law enforcement.
If President Trump invokes the Insurrection Act of 1807, most legal barriers to military use would disappear. The president claiming a rebellion is underway here, and soldiers could then assume regular police duties, including arresting people.
It would set up a really stark conflict between the president's use of troops and our traditional understanding of the autonomy of state governments in local law enforcement that I think would be challenging.
They could insert curfews. They could tell people to stay in their homes. They could close stores. It's not martial law, but it's one step toward martial law.
This was the last time the Insurrection Act was used, 1992, Los Angeles, after the Rodney King verdict, when L.A. officials asked for help. And NBC Chicago has found that the Insurrection Act has been previously imposed on Chicago. 1894, during the infamous Pullman labor strike that had paralyzed the nation's rail system. Then President Grover Cleveland sent in 2,000 federal troops to break the Union and stop deadly riots. And just as we are seeing in 2025, back then there was fierce opposition to federal soldiers from then Chicago Mayor John Hopkins and Illinois Governor John Altgeld.
We don't talk about it very much in history classes for whatever reason, but there was this extensive pattern. It's called the labor wars sometimes by historians because it turned into something that looked a lot like warfare.
The use of the Insurrection Act and deployment of federal troops in Chicago more than 130 years ago is one of just a few dozen times in American history it's been used, most often to control unchecked uprisings and raging city riots, even though presidents have near absolute power to use it without any oversight.
We're learning so much about the Constitution and the law, and we're a government of checks and balances.
History repeats itself.
So the question here, Chuck, can Congress or the courts review or reverse a president that does use the Insurrection Act?
Good question. Congress, no, although some there would like to change that. The courts, maybe. They can review after military deployment if there are allegations a president acted in bad faith. That's open to interpretation.
Chuck Gowdy, we're so glad we have you.
President Trump is inching closer to a landmark decision on supplying Kyiv with long-range Tomahawk cruise missiles. When asked by reporters on board Air Force One on whether he would provide Kyiv with Tomahawks, Trump said he might as well consider it. The comments follow a phone call between Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who pushed for stronger military support to launch counterattacks against Russia. The two leaders are slated to meet at the White House on Friday. This would mark Zelensky's third visit to the White House since January. On its part, Russia's President Vladimir Putin has warned that provision of Tomahawks would dramatically escalate the war and lead to a deterioration of Russia-US ties. Tomahawk missiles have a range of 2,500 kilometers, that is 1,500 miles, which would put Moscow within reach of Ukraine. The cruise missiles provide in-flight retargeting through data link and loitering abilities, giving Ukraine an operational range to strike deep inside Russia. Russia has vowed to shoot down Tomahawk cruise missiles and bomb their launch sites if the United States decides to supply them to Ukraine. Russian lawmaker says Moscow has tackled these missiles in Syria. The 250th anniversary of the United States Navy has been marred by a series of online gaffes. This after several American accounts mistakenly posted images of warships belonging to other nations, including Russia. The United States Naval Criminal Investigative Service, or NCIS, wished the U.S. Navy on the occasion of the 250th anniversary with a photo of a Russian warship, images of which are deleted now. Many of the photos, hailed as symbols of US's naval might, showed Soviet or Russian vessels, causing a wave of ridicule and criticism on social media on an important event for the American Armed Forces. New pictures surfaced soon after the eyebrows were raised. After the wrong pictures posted on social media, some of the posts remained online for hours before being removed. The events marking the 1775 creation of the Navy and Marine Corps proceeded despite the government shutdown that has closed many federal agencies and offices. A ship parade streamed up and down the Delaware River beside Philadelphia last week to kick off a celebration of their 250th birthday of the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps. Among the ships that took part were the USS Larsen and USS Billings and the USS Cooperstown.
President Donald Trump attending a summit in the Middle East where he and other world leaders signed a peace deal to officially end the Israel-Hamas war. Now, Trump spoke about achieving lasting peace in the Middle East.
This took 3,000 years to get to this point. Can you believe it? And it's going to hold up, too. It's going to hold up.
After more than 2 years of war, Trump, alongside the leaders of Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey, focused on discussing the future political, humanitarian, and security situation in Gaza after formally ending the bloodshed between Israel and Hamas. They signed the Gaza Peace Plan for peace in the Middle East.
After years of suffering and bloodshed, the war in Gaza is over. Humanitarian aid is now pouring in, including hundreds of truckloads of food, medical equipment, and other supplies, much of it paid for by people in this room. Civilians are returning to their homes. The hostages are reuniting. I mean, it's beautiful. I'm just watching it backstage. The level of love and sorrow, I've never seen anything like it.
Full details of the post-war plans of Gaza are currently unknown. A copy has not been released or made public.
A new and beautiful day is rising, and now the rebuilding begins. The rebuilding is maybe going to be the easiest part. I think we've done a lot of the hardest part.
Trump's diplomatic visit comes during a very sensitive time in the region. Before arriving in Egypt, Trump visited Israel to celebrate the ceasefire, which he helped negotiate between Israel and Hamas. It was announced last week on September 29th. Phase 1 of the ceasefire was for Hamas to release all remaining hostages, dead or alive, in exchange for Israel to release nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. There are also the bodies of 26 Israeli hostages believed to be dead, whose bodies still need to be recovered. It also includes a gradual withdrawal of Israeli military forces from the entire Gaza Strip. Phase 2 of the deal removes Hamas from power in Gaza and replaces Hamas with a newly created government run in Gaza. But Hamas will not be allowed to be a part of it.
This is the day that people across the region and around the world have been working, striving, hoping, and praying for. They have done things over the last month that I think were really unthinkable. Nobody thought this could happen.
It was also an emotional day for reunions as the remaining 20 living Israeli hostages were freed from Hamas captivity on Monday, many of them meeting with their loved ones at a hospital in Tel Aviv. Meanwhile, many Palestinians are returning to the Gaza enclave where they're finding destroyed homes and neighborhoods. Gaza health officials attribute the destruction and the 68,000 dead Palestinians to Israeli military actions. In front of the global leaders, Trump urged peace, better relations, and for old feuds to die.
But today, for the first time anyone can remember, we have a once-in-a-lifetime chance to put the old feuds and bitter hatreds behind us.
Neither representatives for Hamas nor Israel attended the summit in Egypt.
Mr. President, on Gaza, how long will it take Hamas to disarm, and can you guarantee that is going to happen?
Well, they're going to disarm, and because they said they were going to disarm. And if they don't disarm, we will disarm them.
How will you do that?
I don't have to explain that to you. But if they don't disarm, we will disarm them. They know I'm not playing games. Okay? Now, we did something monumental. We got the hostages back. That was the first thing we had to do. Above all else, get the hostages back. Now, they misrepresented because we were told they had 26, 24 of dead hostages, if we can use those terms. And it seems as though they don't have that because we're talking about a much lesser number. But that's a very tough subject. I want them back. That's what they said. I want them back. Also, they said they were going to disarm. And initially speaking, they needed, they did take out a couple of gangs that were very bad, very, very bad gangs, and they did take them out. And they killed a number of gang members. And that didn't bother me much, to be honest with you. That's okay. We had a couple of very bad gangs. It's no different than other countries. Like Venezuela sent their gangs into us, and we took care of those gangs. We have Washington, D.C. is one of the safest cities in the country. It was one of the worst cities in the country if you go back just a little while ago, right? Now it's safe. You can walk to work. Isn't it nice? But we have told them we want to disarm, and they will disarm. And if they don't disarm, we will disarm them. And it'll happen quickly and perhaps violently. But they will disarm. Do you understand me?
Yes, you say
because
quickly.
Everyone says, oh, well, they won't disarm. They will disarm. And I spoke to Hamas, and I said, you're going to disarm, right? Yes, sir, we're going to disarm. That's what they told me. They will disarm, or we will disarm them. Got it? Okay.
What is the deadline you're going to put on that? You say quickly, sir. Sir, you said quickly, but what is the deadline you're going to put on that before you take action?
A reasonable period of time. Pretty quickly.
Mr. President.
A reasonable period of time.